Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakareshi Sarvada Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Deva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Namo Narayanaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namah Shivaya Shri Hanumate Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 14th of March 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages and to Bhagavan residing in the heart of every single being. With that bhavana and prarthana, we are continuing to examine the mysteries of Advaita Vedanta. And along those lines, to continue from yesterday, where several stages of development were talked about with regards to Shraddha. Shraddha meaning faith, meaning latching on with one's beliefs, one's understanding, one's inner vision. All of that is part of Shraddha. And that takes time to develop. It doesn't develop just like that. As I was giving some examples yesterday, it may have sounded a little bit odd actually, but the fact of the matter is that our mind is a process. The mind has to be developed in a certain way. If it's not developed, it will remain undeveloped, it will remain underdeveloped, it will just be, it cannot reach anywhere. So human civilization develops the mind of children right from childhood. That development of the mind and then the impressions that are constantly given within, from the outside, and then the reflection inside, that is called sanskara. So most of what we call religion or spirituality is 99% is psychological development. What is that 1%? That 1% is Vedanta. That is beyond the mind. But the mind has to be developed thoroughly. So this is why in Bhagavad Gita, this is all explained in the Gita, by the way. I'm just giving an exposition, but it depends on how you interpret some of these things. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse number 39. For those who are students of the Gita, you can find it beautifully. The verse is as follows: Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparaha sanyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirena adhigacchati, which I have spoken many, many times. This verse actually shows this progression. So the first word is Shraddhavan. Shraddhavan means that word is made out of two words, Shraddha plus Van. The word Shraddha means what? Faith, latching on. It is the belief, development of strong belief that something is so. It is not Anubhav, as we mentioned yesterday. Anubhav nahi hai. Shraddha, actual Shraddha in that which is actually there is genuine Shraddha. That which is not there, you may have Shraddha, but it is towards something that is not there. See this point. There's two kinds of Shraddha. Somebody tells Sachin that there actually is a Grand Canyon on the West Coast. I have faith. I'm sitting in Newark, Delaware. I've never seen it. Let's say I know pictures, nothing. I believe the person. So the person describes it so genuinely. I have belief that, okay, maybe there's something. I start believing it. That is called Shraddha. Somebody says, no, that in the Washington State is made out of gold completely. I said, I don't believe this. What nonsense. But if I believe it, I'm believing something strongly that is false. All the buildings are made out of gold. Really? I really believe. Somebody tries to convince me. And I'm believing something that is false. So Shraddha, the word Shraddha, the way it is used here in the Gita specifically, it is referring to Shraddha towards what? It is referring to that Param-Tattva. that supreme tattva, param, labhate, labhate, gnanam labdva, gnanam labdva param shantim. It is referring to param shanti in this particular verse. So Shraddha towards what? Towards that param shanti. Now, it doesn't even use the word God here. It doesn't use the word Bhagwan or God, or it doesn't use any metaphysical terminology, except it's a much more psychological terminology about param shanti. Now, you can infer, using all the other verses, that in that shanti, the Brahman is there, that is Brahman, that is God. We can say that. We can say Bhagwan ka dham hai. I mean, that's all true. There's many other verses. But here specifically, it's showing us very practically where we need to go to. And that is towards Param Shanti. And I mentioned it yesterday and the day before about, that Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. What is the significance of that? To some extent, we talked about it. So let's just stay with the word Shraddha for a moment. It is possible to have Shraddha in something that is absolutely false. For example, in the Greek tradition, they made lots of gods and goddesses, Athena and Zeus, and temples to all of them and all that. Are they actually there somewhere? Or is it just a man-made thing? The Greek civilization ended. Nobody's worshipping those gods or anything like that. But they worship them. Maybe there was some connection with something in Sanatana Dharma. We don't know. Whatever it was, is it some fabricated thing? Is it really somebody like Zeus somewhere? Or it's just a man-made thing that children are brought up with. That's all. And that can be also. It very much could be. So something which is man-made is not the real thing. That is why the Veda mantras are called apaurushaya. They're not man-made. Now, how do you know they're not man-made? If somebody says, let's challenge that. What do you mean they're not man-made? Like Shri Suktam, Om Hiranyavarnam, Harinim, all the different suktas and Veda mantras and all. Purusha Sukta is there, the Shri Suktam is there, the Rudram is there, and all this, How do you know somebody made them? What do you mean they're not man-made? Well, it's true. Vedavasji wrote them down. This is the history. But they were heard. The tradition says that these were heard. There were no temples or anything like that at that time. There were only rishis sitting in their ashramas, doing havan. There was only fire, their own breath, nature, and mantra. Nothing else was there. There were no murtis of any kind. That's why the Upanishad says, Nacha pratima asti, don't make any images. Now the people you wonder about this, Sanatana Dharma mein itne sab mandir, itne sab images. When the Upanishad is giving the teaching, don't make any images. Nacha pratima asti. Now this seems contradictory, but it is not. It needs to be thoroughly and clearly understood. The Vedic time and Vedic rishis are in an extremely evolved state from inside. They are evolved where they are living in the tattva itself. They're sitting in their dhyan. As we mentioned it yesterday, when you sit for dhyan, you're bringing it all inside. The external is the internal. In the Upanishadic time, the mantras were heard. Now, how can you prove that? How do you know that the Rig Ved mantra or the Yajur Ved mantras, Sam Ved, Atharva Ved, how do we know that these mantras were heard? These 4 classifications were made by Vedvyasji. But how can you prove that they were heard? How do you know that? There is a way to prove it. You have to master each mantra. Isko siddha karna chahiye. Even the Namah Shivaya mantra, as an example, it comes from the Vedas. How do we know that this mantra is apaurushaya? Isko siddha kar dena. Aapko malum ho jayega. You'll understand it is apaurushaya hai. अब कैसे सिद्ध करते हैं मंत्रों को? You have to chant and get. There's a sadhana. There's a whole preparatory phase That's what this verse is teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. The preparation for even one mantra to reach Siddha state. Namah Shivaya mantra jo siddh karna hai, as an example. And there are thousands of mantras, big ones, but this is a straightforward one. One has to have Shraddha. Because we have not realized what is beyond the mind. Abhi isme kya hota hai? What is the preparation? The Guru is teaching in the Upanishadic time. Upanishad means to go at the feet of the Guru, sit at the feet of the Guru, and the Guru is enlightened. So there is Shraddha in the teaching of the Guru that there is the Param-Tattva hai. Again, the Shishya doesn't know that. Shishya is trapped inside Maya. So the Guru-Shishya Sambandha develops. But for that to develop, even for that to develop, at some point in the Shishya, in the disciple, in the seeker, the Mumukshu, there has to be Shraddha. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. First three words of this verse are like this. The Guru is saying there is Brahman. What if Sachin goes there to some great saint? Let's say today, Upanishad ki baat to hai, but let's say today we go to some enlightened saint. And I have, by the grace of God, I've had opportunity to meet many of them over the years and stay with them and all that. Amazing. They're really quite extraordinary. But they are saying that you are Atman, there is Brahman, there are chakras, there is the Brahman, ये सब बात है. ऐसे क्या बकवास बात कर रहे हो? छोड़ो ये सब. Let's go for dancing and parties and eat, drink and be merry and विषय भोग करो. ये सब छोड़ दे क्या मंदिर में आरती करते हैं? Foolishness. If I have that attitude, it ends right there. पूरा, वहाँ ही पूरा हो जाता है. आगे क्या आगे बढ़ेंगे? Impossible. That's why Bhagavan Sri Krishna Paramatma, he gives a direct, like an atom bomb statement in the Gita. They're all like that, all 700 verses. Shraddhavan labate. Shraddha has to be there. But how can Shraddha, if I have confusion inside? Confusion is there. Is there Brahma Tattva? Is there the abode of God? Is there something like this? You're talking about Samadhi and Nirvikalpa Samadhi and ye sab kya hai? All I know is this world. All I know are the Shabda Sparsh Rupras Gandh, the enjoyments of the material world, lots of sex, lots of money, lots of position, lots of enjoyments, lots of big homes, lots of trips, lots of whatever, just, material enjoyments, sensory enjoyments, Vishaya Bhoga. If a true enlightened master is there, you know what the response would be from a true enlightened master? Karuna. They would not criticize such a person. Kabhi bhi nahi. They would say, no problem. If that is the path you want to take, you take that path. It's okay. But what they will also say, can you keep one part of your thought process open, just a little bit, and just speak 11 times the Om mantra daily? Can you just do that? Even not daily, say it just one time. Sit, say, take a deep breath in. Om. Just this much. Don't do anything else. Could do everything else you want to do. If there's the slightest opening in the mind to even do that much, because the Guru knows he has to create an opening. Guru, they have to create an opening somewhere. Otherwise, the Guru will not be in the role of an enlightened. How can I say it? The Guru has to emit the truth. जो Sadguru कहते हैं, जो Param Guru कहते हैं, their presence emits the truth. First of all, they don't even have to give this kind of agnya. But if the person comes to such a person with all of this kind of understanding, Vishay Bhogi karna hai, if it's a truly enlightened saint, the presence of such a saint will still the mind automatically. That person, वो जो राजसिक भाव जो उसके मन में था, उसको इतना तो होगा कि ये कोई महान व्यक्ति है. Even that person is atheistic, nastic, विषय भोगी, जो भी है, उसको थोड़ी शांति तो मिलेगी by the presence. If it's a fully enlightened saint. And then this is, by the way, this has happened in the lives of thousands of people. ऐसे बहुत लोग हैं जिसको विषय भोगी, because their vision is obstructed by that. They cannot see anything more. How can you expect them to see anything? They need an opening. You have to have an opening that they can see something beyond just this eat, drink, eat, drink, and be merry. Just this vishaya bhog, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, matsar. Chhod. Only this temporary stimulus. Some people have made that their goal. They just want. I've met people like that. Somebody was telling me years back. All we want is to lay on expensive beaches and have just vishaya bhog karna hai bas. Aise karo. That's okay. The ants and these bugs, and they're also doing that. Well, what's the difference between you and them? Aren't there ants and spiders and crabs and all that on the beaches? How are you different from the crab? कोई फर्क है इसमें? विषय भोगी कर रहे, वो भी विषय भोग करते. They're also living in the nature without any clothes, without anything like that. आप भी वो करो. Go ahead. How are you different from any of that? कोई फर्क है इसमें? Not in any negative way. कर दे करो. And there are places like that. So many are like that. And this is even discussed in Vachanamrut. Vachanamrut में भी महाराज इस बात पर करते. Freedom is not obtained by just more and more stimulation of the Vishayas. Dhyayato Vishayan Punsaha Sangasteshu Pajayate. Bhagavad Gita. What is the whole? There's two verses, and the end of that is Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. बुद्धि का जो नाश ही हो जाता है इसमें. इसीलिए भगवान क्या कहते हैं? श्रद्धा. Of course, Shraddha is not realization, as Sachin mentioned yesterday. Of course, Bhagwan Krishna bhi swayam kehte hai yahan. Obviously. Shraddha is a platform. But it should be Shraddha in that which is actually there. And now the second word is labhate. Shraddhavan labhate. Labhate means obtains. Obtains what? Gyan. Gyan milta hai. But Shraddha hi nahi hai. If I go to the mathematics classes, kya bakwas is this? Textbook is useless. This teacher is useless. This school is useless. Everything is useless. I'm getting out. Gyan milega mathematics ka? Kabhi bhi nahi. I have to have some level of Shraddha in that which is actually bona fide and time tested. Then the Shraddha is in the right direction. And that is the development of the Shraddha. इसीलिए क्या कहते हैं? संत कैसे होने चाहिए? संत के लक्षण क्या है? गुरु के लक्षण क्या है? सत्पुरुष के लक्षण क्या है? And what they are speaking, they're speaking out of anubhav, not to mislead people, not for their ahankar, not for all that thing. The truth is speaking through them. Satyam jnanam anantam brahma. ये उपनिषद की परंपरा है. The truth is speaking through them. Not that they are speaking to anybody. That's the difference. That truth with a capital T, or Satyam. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. That is manifesting through the mind-brain-body complex of the enlightened being. For the purpose of kalyanam, for the purpose of redemption of all that the divine places them to be in touch with. They're not doing anything out of their ahankar. No activity, not a breath is even taken out of ahankar. ऐसी अलौकिक स्थिति है, जिसको संत अलौकिक, एक सुंदर भजन भी है स्वामीनारायण भगवान का जो संप्रदाय, इसमें संत अलौकिक, वसंत अलौकिक, कृष्ण अलौकिक आए. Alokik means that which is transcendent, that which is divine, that is manifesting here, Lokik and Alokik. So Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Now this is the important point. Gyan ki vruddhi hoti hai. Oh, the clarity begins to dawn. About what? that clarity, Gnan is seeing basic truths that are in front of us without obstruction. The first most important truth in Gnan is nothing but oneness. That oneness comes. That the other person Sachin is seeing, as I was mentioning yesterday about, this kind of in a little bit of humor about people putting different boards, Hindu temple, Buddhist temple, Christian church. Okay, these are divisions we have made. God doesn't have any of those divisions. भगवान भगवत तत्व में ऐसा कोई डिवीजन नहीं है. These are man-made divisions. And they have some purpose also. But the divisive attitude has to go. You may have different approaches. That's okay. Different traditions, different places, different methods, scriptures. Beautiful. Upanishad में ही लिखा है, एकम सत विप्रहा बहुधा वदन्ति. And then as time went on, even all the different types of sadhana to reach that jnanam, the murti puja, murtiyon ki jo pratishtha hai, all of those approaches were developed by the sages to try to recreate and to open up that dimension of Gnan and Shanti. See, this is the verse here. Shraddhavan labate Gnanam tatparaha. When the non-divisiveness opens up, and I'll stop in just 2 minutes here. When the non-divisiveness opens up, that is Gnanam. What happens there? Tatparaha. Tatparaha means one becomes a devotee of that Gnan. वो भक्त बन जाते हैं ज्ञान का. Shankaracharya ji has stated devotion to knowledge, devotion to jnana. We say devotion to Bhagwan, wo to hai, those are in the Shraddha, that is in the Shraddha stage as a dualistic worship. But then as you go further, that dualistic turns into much more oneness, and this jnana opens up. Sanyatendriyaha Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparaha Sanyatendriyaha. All of the senses, Sanyatendriya means they become stabilized. The 5 senses and the mind, they become absolutely still, steady हो जाते हैं. Sanyatendriya. स्थिरता आ जाती है जीवन में, पूरी स्थिरता आ जाती है. कितनी अद्भुत बात है. श्री श्रद्धा, then Gnan. Then with that comes this tatparaha, intense wanting to be in that enlightened state. That is the third word. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. Tatparaha is the fourth word. Fifth word is sanyatendriyaha. And in that wonderful, cohesive harmony inside of the Indriyas Antakarana, again, Gnan begins to brim. It opens up again. Gnanam labdva. Having opened up that beautiful non-divisive realization. Isme sadhuta aa gayi, isme all kinds of manan chintan is there. Realization of the Atma Tattva is beginning to happen. Things like this, right? It's a further inner development. Gnanam labdva. Again, the word Gnan is used twice for emphasis. But what is it that you're getting from this? What is the goal of spirituality? What is at least one goal here? That is not just Shanti, but Param Shanti. Param means supreme. And the word Param in Sanskrit is a feminine form that is referring to Devi. Kitni amazing baat hai ye. It's absolutely amazing that the Shantim, Param Shantim, it's a feminine form of that Param. Why it says Param and not Param Shanti? Because of the feminine form. Why the feminine form? That means the entire Shakti inside has transmuted into Jnanam. And in that, Param Shantim Achirena, Achirena means there's no obstruction, there's no delay, there is just fantastic progression without much time required. Achirena adhigachyati. Adhigachyati means attainment, realization. Adhigachyati. Param shantim achirena adhigachyati. And this is Bhagavad Gita. Amazing. Verse number 39, chapter number 4. May Bhagwan Krishna bless us with this extraordinary truth and maybe continue our journey forward. Let's stop here for now. Om Divilingaya Namaha, Urdhvalingaya Namaha, Anandalingaya Namaha, Dvadas Jyotirlingaya Namo Namaha, Om Shri Radha Krishnaya Namaha, Om Vame Yasya Sita Radha, Shrisha Yasyasti Vakshasi, Vrindavana Viharam Tam, Sri Krishnam, Rudi Chintaye, Sri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. This mantra is given by Vallabhacharya ji. Shri Krishnam Sharanam Mama. Isko वैष्णव परंपरा में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मंत्र है. सो विद दैट वी शैल क्लोज टुडेज सत्संग. ओम दुर्गे दुर्गे रक्षिणी ठ ठ स्वाहा. ओम श्री राधा कृष्ण अर्पणमस्तु. ओम ह्रीं स्वाहा.